Hi guys, we're coming on to you live. We're doing a double live today. So if you're on my Instagram, you're going to be seeing some stuff. And if you're on Facebook, as you know, Rudy and I come and do lives. Well, we used to do them all the time. And as you know, I used to have a channel on Periscope and I used to come on every Tuesday. So when we get a little bit of time, I actually try to come in and discuss life issues. And a lot of the life issues you guys all know. I have been an esthetician going on 16 years. Yes, next year will be 16. I had to pause for a minute. And I'm a business owner, I'm a mom, and I've really kind of morphed into, when I started the business, I was a single mom. And then Rudy and I got married about 3 years ago. And upon being married, we did not realize that we would actually be working together. And that has brought a tremendous dynamic to our relationship. And it's brought a dynamic where it can be very difficult to maneuver because we do see each other all day. And then we go home and we have a life at home. And I have been, as of yet, probably when I turned 40, I just said, I can't do everything. And I thought I could for a long time. I thought I could be the power mom. I thought I could be the power businesswoman. I thought I could be, I'm every woman and I don't need a man. Not saying that I don't need you, baby. I do need him. But for a long time, I lived that power life, meaning that I went balls to the walls, 15, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you guys don't know my story, I think we've shared it on our YouTube channel. So if you go onto my YouTube channel or you go on and you say Stephanie Laynes into YouTube, you will see my entire channel. And then there is a special little place that has Stephanie and Rudy's vlogs. And so that's where our vlogs are, where we've talked about relationship issues. We've talked about, me being a business owner and my husband coming into the business. And so today I just want to, give a lot of encouragement, especially to business moms and esthetician moms and spas who own and do everything that they do. I don't do everything. I think that's a myth that we perpetuate with women. And it's very sad and disheartening because we burn out. We have heart conditions, especially African-American women. We have conditions where we put ourselves in and we don't have to put ourselves in those positions. But for a long time, when Rudy and I were dating, I told him, I have a cleaning crew that comes in, and his face was that. He was like, why? And I'm like, I can't be everything to everybody and cook and clean and do, I'm not going to. And so when we weren't living together, his, whole perception, I would say, was, why would you pay money for someone to come and clean? My perception is it's something I work very hard for, and I don't feel I should have to. What are your thoughts on that, baby? He's so like, why?
Well, also you got to remember at that point you lived in an apartment that was very small.
What does that matter?
Oh, no, I've always cleaned my own place or been in a situation where you clean your own stuff. So it was a very foreign concept to me to have a cleaning crew coming in every 2 weeks and just taking care of that. It took a minute to get used to that, but I do see the benefits of it now. I mean, I've come around to it.
But you came around to it by force, because if I had left it up to him, he would never have had a cleaning crew. And the thing about what I spend my money on and how I try to balance, I really have came to the point where I know that if I work a 12 or 15-hour day, there's no way I can come home and keep our house clean. I can't do that on the level that we need to have it clean. And I don't mind spending money on getting that. I think it's a luxury that I can afford and I work hard to have. And, convincing, your partner or your spouse to, allow you to have that moment to say, just because you're a woman and you're married does not mean you have to work and take care of the children, take care of your husband and take care of the house and do all these other things. Those expectations in my life, and I'm just speaking on my life, are not and won't be
No, let's get that very clear. I've never come into this relationship and expected that. I mean, I told you pretty much, if I remember that correctly, right from the beginning, I'm not looking for a cook or a maid.
You ain't getting one either.
So, I mean, I've always done my own, laundry and food and cleaning and all of that stuff. But yeah, just the cleaning stuff that we now do. That there's a crew coming through every 2 weeks and cleans and wipes and does all of that stuff. It is very convenient. Takes care of a lot of things that you don't have to worry about. And I think the bigger picture is here that it's not so much the cleaning, because you can kind of extrapolate that on other stuff. It is, what is your time worth?
Right. And and here's the thing, Rudy was not on board at all. He was never, I think I had to convince him, and I finally just went there and said, so you're going to clean the baseboards, you're going to get behind the toilet, because at your house, I've looked behind the toilet. It was not clean, sir. And so I was always like, okay, so you're gonna get my baseboards, you're gonna do, the window seals, you're gonna do the blinds, you're gonna do the ceiling fans, you're gonna do all of these things. Are you gonna do this every 2 weeks? And of course, it was that face.
But again, what it comes down to is, if you're a business owner, or even if you're just a regular person, what is your time worth to you? I mean, if I have the opportunity to pay the appropriate amount of money for a service, it frees my own time up. I don't have to worry about it. I let a professional do it.
Look, but baby, you're here at the office when you don't have to be.
And
most folks go 9 to 5 to work. You go 7 days a week, even though we're only open 5 days a week. And we open from 9 to 5, and you stay until 9.
I'm getting better.
You stay on the weekends until 7. So, it's also getting you to understand, I understand who you are. I do.
I hope so.
But I also think that I was very upfront in the beginning, saying that this is something that's not going to change. Like, you can be okay with it. And if you want to relieve them, then you're going to be cleaning behind the toilet and the baseboards and behind the refrigerator and, cleaning the stove, like cleaning the stove.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, right. But I mean, I'm getting better, but it's for me, it's a struggle simply from, where I come from and how I used to do stuff. But again, I can't emphasize enough, if you value your time, or you can do other stuff with your time, why not let go of certain things and have other people take that over, be able to delegate.
Right. And the next thing will be a chef. So you see, I'm ready. It's time. He knows that. He's just giving you guys the theatrics that you want. But I've already told him, like, the next thing on my list of letting go is bringing in a chef. It's time. Even if they do meal preps, and even if they cook once a month, I mean, it's time. And I think, the way we work and how hard we work, it's fine with that. But I'm being very honest. I get a massage every 2 weeks. I get facials every 2 weeks. It's something that I really have done my entire adult life. So even once I had my daughter, those things didn't change. When I got married, those things remarried, those things did not change. It was always because I have to have that certain amount of balance. And I find that a lot of us women are not in balance. We try to do it all. We admit that we think we can do it all. And then when we burn out, we burn out. And Rudy knows, if I don't get my time, you think my hair is big now? I am like a werewolf. I did not get my massage. I didn't get my facial. I didn't get things that I could do for myself, because I feel like if I don't have that balance, I'm no good as a wife and a partner and a business partner and a mom. I have to have my time. And it's something that I find I keep so sacred and so close to myself, and which is a difference for my husband, because he does not balance his time.
Yeah. Well, but for me, my tolerance is so stupidly high for working.
Tolerance for working, baby.
For working and spending hours and not doing something for yourself.
Yeah, now
So
that I agree.
That's what I mean by that. But it is important. It is important that you carve out time for yourself, because the burnout factor will come.
I've burned out.
The burnout factor will come, and if you don't take care of yourself, again, you're not good to anybody else. And especially when you're in a business where you have to be personable, where you have to be on,
Right.
you got to be talking to people, you got to be in front of people. And, if you're coming in like a zombie, your business is going to go. That's not how that works. So you need to put time aside for yourself. Stephanie does the massage and the facials, and, goes to the casino if she really, really needs to.
I'm going on Friday.
But I mean, whatever works for you. So you got to do some.
But you know what? I love my husband admitting this, because when we met, this was not his conversation. We actually, before his accident, we had a date. We scheduled to have dinner, and I was getting ready to break up with him. He kind of knew it, because he did not have a great work-life balance at all. When I met him, he had 3 jobs. He was sleeping in his car in between shifts. He was consistently working between 80 and 100 hours a week. His commute was at least an hour from where we lived. So it was an hour to work and then an hour back. So I really had just basically what was left over on a Tuesday. And I told him, I said,
Good Tuesdays,
it was good Tuesdays. But, when was the last time you went on vacation? And he's like, I went on vacation 3 years ago.
4.
And I'm like, well, what do you mean you went on like 3 years ago? He's like, I haven't had a vacation in years. And I'm thinking, well, what do you do for yourself? And he's like, I go to the gym. And I'm like, okay, so, but the gym is something that you have that is a part of you. What do you do for leisure? What do you do for enjoyment? Nothing. And I told him, I said, I can't live like that. And I don't want a partner that I have to drag and convince and plead with to take care of himself, because, I try to do that and I want balance in my partner to do that. And we had dinner that Tuesday, and that Sunday he was in an accident and blew out both of his knees and was bedridden for the next 4 months. So his epiphany came very quickly. And it was a quick epiphany because he was forced to not work. I'll never forget when I got that frantic call, and I don't even know how I got a frantic call. When I got the frantic call, it was because my phone was on silent, and I happened to see, when you're sleeping and you open your eyes, you happen to see the phone light up, and that's how I knew.
Well, because it also happened at,
it happened
12:45 at night.
Right. It was very, very late, and I was already asleep. But I'll never forget coming down there to the hospital and him telling me, you're going to have to cancel, our, because we actually had planned on going on vacation. We had planned on going, where were we going? Dallas? I think that was when we were coming here. He's like, you got to cancel those tickets, and you got to do this. And, my job, I told him I'm going to be out for 6 weeks. And I'm looking at him like, what? You are laid up here. And if you're not familiar with the patella tendon tear, that means that both of his patella tendons completely ruptured. His kneecaps were lodged in his thighs. He was not able to walk. He had no kneecaps. His knees were completely flat. He refused to get medical help. He refused to get any kind of drugs when they admitted him. So I walk into there, and of course his first response is, you didn't sign up for this, so you can go all the way back home. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's the drugs. I'm not on any drugs. Why are you not on any drugs? I don't understand. So the nurses and the doctors and everybody's all excited looking at him, because my husband's very small. And so they've never seen a double patella tendon tear. We're in San Francisco, and I'm just looking at him like, Lord have mercy. And of course I have my family on my end talking about, now you can't bring this man home. You can't be a nurse to this man. You don't know this man. We had only been dating since January. So we probably had only been dating 6 weeks. And then his accident happened. And I think For me, it was more of, he really is just, it's game over. I mean, it completely changed his entire career, that one accident. So you had an epiphany. And I'm telling you, every time we talk about it, we're always like, you know, had he not had that accident, we probably would not be together. Because he has no other way of being. His normal is 3 jobs. His normal is 100 hours a week. His normal is sleeping in the car, and that's just not my normal. But you know, the accident really was kind of a
it was a life-altering.
It was
moment.
a life-altering
I mean, you know,
moment.
people use that phrase too much, but it was. I mean, it totally altered my life and the way I do things. And I was very lucky that Stephanie was there. And
I was there because I forced myself to be there, because he told me I didn't have to be there.
well, because after 6 weeks, all of a sudden you have somebody that, you know, has a very unsure future, and you don't know how long the convalescence is going to be, and you know, is he ever going to walk again, and how is he going to walk? And you know, I mean, it took me almost a year to be off of crutches and canes and walkers and everything.
Yep.
So,
and that's the start of our relationship. So I think, you know, him, and you know, you have to understand about my husband, because he's German, his way of doing things is very different. If you saw our last video, we talked about our intercultural relationship versus interracial relationship. And, you know, when I met him, he had no TV. So, you know, Americans, we have at least 2 TVs. And he had no TV. And so when I would leave him, because him being bedridden, he wasn't able to bend his knees the first 6 weeks.
4.
So he was literally on his back in straight braces for weeks, days. So I would be shuffling back and forth between Sacramento and coming to his house and looking at him. And I'll never forget it. One day he was laying on his back, and, you know, I would try to like put things around him so it was within arm's reach. So he had like his water bottles and his pain pills on the right. On the left, he would have the laptop. He would have everything that was close to him. And then, of course, his phone. And so we're moving all of the electrical stuff so we could charge it in. And so I came in there one day and the computer wasn't open, and he was just, I'm like, Rudy? He even looked at me and said, hello, are you here? Hello? And he was just like, hi. I'm like, hello. Are you okay? I'm great.
And it wasn't pain pills, because I stopped him like 3 days after the hospital.
I'm like, what are you looking at? And I mean, his whole demeanor, which I always say, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, you know, I commend him for never like getting upset with me. And I was really pushing myself. As soon as he got out of the hospital that week, I went to the New York show. I had to work. I went grocery shopping. I was still taking care of Celine. My parents stepped in and helped with her. I was literally commuting back and forth to his house, making sure that he had everything. I'll never forget when we got him finally into the car with the 5 orderlies. They were like, yeah, if he ever falls, you just need to call the fire department, because you're not going to be able to help him. And I'm like, I don't think I'm even going to be able to get him out of the car. What do you mean call the fire department? And they're like, it took 5 of us to get him in. So there's going to be a issue of getting him out as well. And if he does fall, just know you're not going to be able to help him. Let him fall. And so that whole him depending on me depending on him, even though he didn't do anything, it was like a true testament in our relationship, because that changed his whole perspective. Because he was definitely, I do everything. I don't need help. And it literally was that week. So Tuesday we had dinner. I was going to break up with him and just be like, I can't be with someone who's a workaholic. I need you to have balance. And the universe said, oh, he will have balance.
Oh, there's going to be some balance.
Here's going to be a huge lesson for you. And then that Sunday was when everything changed.
Yeah. Well, and it is still, I mean, it's still, that was 2015.
Yes.
And it's still a struggle for me to change a lifetime of conditioning.
Yes.
I'm getting better,
Yes.
but yeah, it is important to be coming back to this again. You got to do something for yourself. You can't do it all alone. You can do it for a while, but after a while, you need to be able to delegate and trust that the person you delegated to
We'll get it done.
will get it done and let them do it. That's the other thing.
And that's the thing. He's speaking to me on that. Let him do it, because we go round and round. We work together. So Rudy's accident was in 2015. We moved to Dallas in 2016. I had a full staff in California. Leah, who was one of my assistants, actually moved to Texas about 2 months after we moved here. So she's in Houston. She's still working for the business. And it was really just me and Rudy. And we had to take, not only moving away from my family, who helped out a lot with Celine, we had to then, figure out our marriage, working together and living together, just being together all the time. Like, how do you balance where you look at your spouse all day long? Most married people are people in couples. You go to your job, they go to their job, and then you come back together. Me, I go to the job and then he comes to the job too. So we really had to kind of figure out, will we take work home? And a lot of the work that we take home is not like negative or anything like that. But Rudy and I, we have like and we still struggle with it, because I can come in like a tornado. And my work ethic is very different as far as, what my expectations are. Rudy, on the other hand, his idea is, well, I'm the boss and I can really do whatever. And it's not really like that. And so we go round and round about that. So, but for the most part, we really try to balance it. And it's not, I think it's because we don't mind being around each other. I don't, I'm not in a hurry to get away or you know what I'm saying? Like when I have my breaks or I'm with Celine and doing whatever we're doing, it's more of, okay, so it's now your turn to stay at the job, and I play Uber driver with Celine, and I go this and I go there, and I get the groceries and do all this other stuff. But it's another dynamic that we did not anticipate. We didn't anticipate to really work together. The reason we moved to Dallas was because he got a job offer. So when we first moved here, he actually had a separate job that had nothing to do with the business. But once the business moved here, our business really completely changed from the way it was in California. I mean, it changed. I think the great thing is what we do here is not as the same as we do in California. We have a lot more space here. There's not that many aesthetic distributors here. So we have people that travel to us from all over the state. From Oklahoma, people will drive in to come shop here. And it's really changed our dynamic, because we really had to focus on being more of a team in the business as well. So, Rudy, for a long time, he would always bark at me and say, "I'm not your employee." But I'd be like, "You're fired! You're fired!" And they'd be looking at me like, "You're crazy." And I'm like, "You're just getting on my nerves. I can't stand it." So now what I do is I'm really like, you know what? In order for the business to continue to grow, that's one of the things that I had to give up. No different than from being at home and I get, house cleaners, and eventually I get chefs. It's the same thing with the business. I'd done it for so long by myself. Even though I had assistants, I was everything. I answered the phones. I packed the boxes. I did, the returns. I did the tracking. I did the accounting. I did the taxes. I did everything. And so when we came here, Rudy was the one that was doing all of the groundwork, because I still was commuting back and forth from California. So he was here doing the orders. He was the one that was taking, walk-ins. He was with the UPS and the FedEx and the inbound and the outbound. And so, there are certain ways that I do things, and then there are certain ways that Rudy does things. And of course, my way is the incorrect way, and his is the better way. And so efficient. Okay. So we have those like dynamics here where it's different, and not every partner can work together. I think back to my ex-husband, and I would never have wanted to work with him. I think your ex-wives, you would not have wanted to work with them either, right?
Only you, baby. Only you.
And I think that's a big dynamic. I think that's something that we're very fortunate with, is that we're able to have a very great business and be able to still have our marriage and then not be a point of contention in our marriage.
Well, I think we also figured out that we have a common goal. We want this business to get to a point, and then we're both able to put our energy and emphasis onto the business. We were able to figure out what each other's strengths were.
Right.
Relating to the business.
Right.
I was able to do certain things in the business, coming from a totally different world, of course, but I was able to do certain things and take them off her plate.
Right.
And with that,
I also handed it to you.
Oh, of course. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're the originator.
I am the originator, baby.
But by being able to play up to each other's strengths,
yeah,
recognizing those strengths, and letting that person, take that ball and run with it, we were able to free her up from a lot of the day-to-day stuff, which then helped the business, because Stephanie was able to do more innovation.
Yes, my creative.
She would have the time. We were able, for me, to take stuff off her plate that would give her the time to create, be more innovative, think outside the box, which has a lot to do with this business, and just come up with new things and new directions, and give her the opportunity to run with it, and
right.
Give her the peace of mind to run with it. That's the other thing.
I think that's the biggest part, is that, within the last 2 years, we've come out, and we still have a couple more things that I'm releasing, is because I'm not in the day-to-day business anymore. I don't do shipping. I don't answer phones. I don't track packages. I don't answer emails. Sometimes I answer emails, but for the most part, I don't. I'm not on the phone. We have, admin staff that really are great at answering those questions without me having to be involved, so that my creative process is not disruptive. The whole deodorant, which took 2 years to do, came out of all of that. Our lightning program came out of all of that. Our soaps came from that. And that was a big jump that we saw, just because I was able to take a breath back and not have to be into the day-to-day operations of the business, but I was able to allow myself to be creative and not feel guilty about it. The whole expansion here, which we expanded to, we started off in a very small location. We didn't realize that it was in a mechanical park where everyone would just fix cars and paint cars and details, and we did it sight unseen when we moved here to Texas. So it was all done online. So all we knew was it was air conditioned. We really did not have an opportunity to do and look at it. And I believe, had you just look at it and then just put the deposit down, because we were getting desperate. We had to get out of California before April 1st in order for tax purposes. So at that point, I was just like, you know what? I will overnight the check to you. Baby, does it have air conditioning? And he's like, it has air conditioning. We'll just figure it out when we get there. And so that was our first location. We moved to our second location, which was a little bit bigger. And then we didn't have training space, but we had great warehouse space. And then our location that we have now, which is 4,000 square feet, is completely something we never would have imagined even moving here that we would be able to afford. Number one, because it's not in California. But that I was able to really expand on even that in a visual way. So, not only the products that we brought, not only, the opportunities that we have with training, but we're able to do a whole different way of doing business. For a long time, I was business only online. I didn't, in my spa, you could come and pick it up if you were in Dixon. And then from there, I moved into my parents' garage. So literally everything was online. From there, I moved to Sacramento. I was thankful for that. It was actually in a church business park. So they were really, 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 really great to me. And I stayed there until we moved. So, it's been an interesting ride. It's been a very different type of path, because I never, and I say this all the time, I never thought I was going to get married. I even told him I was okay with us having a relationship and us not being married. You have your house, I have my house. And the fact that he's been so open and forthcoming with coming into the business and making it good, better, I should say, not good, making it better, is been a blessing, and I have, sometimes I think I'm like, I'm not bragging on you, baby, but I am bragging on you, because if he did not have the attitude that he had when he had his accident, we would not have been here. I thought he was going to be upset with me. His entire rehab, he never yelled at me, ever. And I told him one day, I'm like, are you ever going to be upset with me? And you're like, what? That's the relationship I was used to, was, I was blamed for stuff. It wasn't my fault. And, I even told him, I'm like, I'm so thankful you never yelled at me. You didn't even get upset with me.
You had nothing to do with it.
I know, baby, but that was my baggage.
No, but to bring it back to the business stuff, I think what we've discovered was a evolution, and a really evolution and a development of the business. And it is something that step by step, you got to be able to change with the business. You cannot be, right. The other thing, you cannot be too rigid. Right. I mean, we had to change simply because we changed location. Right. But by also the business is evolving. Right. And that really means there's evolution. It changes. You got to be able to put a foundation, processes into play, where you're then able to bring, other people in, yes. Be able to give them some work, yes. But you got to have that framework, and you got to be able to have that framework, again, evolve. I think that's a big word. You cannot be so narrow-minded that it's all about, this is the way it's going to be and this is the way I do it. You got to be able to look around you, to look up and go, okay, so these influences, and I got to pick from that, and I got to realize, okay, so this is not working. Why is this not working? It has nothing to do with me not giving an effort, but this is just the way it is. This stuff does not work, so I got to find a way around it, and that's what evolution is all about. And
I think we evolutionized smooth skin supply. Say Brazil, we added two. Mm-hmm. I mean, Say Brazil is the most, in my opinion, most complete professional wax line, because I provide the before and the after and the home care, mm-hmm. which most wax products, they don't. But I evolutionized smooth skin supply. Like, I really took the lid off and said, Say Brazil is just one brand that we house, but I think that we could expand our reach if we really made smooth skin supply the home. I compare myself to Oprah a lot. Oprah has many different brands, all under Harpo. And so, I kind of look at smooth skin supply the same way. When we brought on Brow Code kind of really fell into our lap. I have to thank Nick Townsend personally, because he was really the driving force to have us distribute it. Without his help and without him being involved in that process, we probably would not have distributed it. We have another brand we're going to be bringing on in the new year, which is Zenza, the numbing cream. That came about from our distributor in Canada. And, that's expanding into a different realm that doesn't have to necessarily do with just wax and hair removal. We have our new brand we're launching next month with skin and eczema. Say Brazil is kind of my skin and eczema, was my trial and error for skin and eczema. Skin and eczema really is for eczema based off of Celine. And I really, if I had not done things in the way that I've done them, I would not have had the time to sit down and say, this is why Celine, skin does what it does. It's because of A, B, and C. I want to share A, B, and C with everybody, because I know a lot of people who suffer with eczema. We don't look at it the way I look at it. We had someone come in yesterday, and I had a great conversation with her, and I think it was either her daughter or daughter-in-law, I can't remember, but I told her, I said, I'm an extreme. So I go and I have a whole list of things that I look at on triggers for eczema, and, what does she use? And so we're having a conversation, and I said, oh yeah, no, she can't use all of that stuff. Those are all triggers. And she was like, yeah, I know. I said, well, it also helps when it comes from someone else, And so I showed her a picture of Selena. She's like, oh my gosh, she has eczema. I'm like, I know, right? It's all about control and really being open and understanding. So I think Rudy is definitely right on the evolution. The evolution happened because I had to realize that in order for me to get where I need to get to creative, I had to let go of some things, and I have to give things to him. Do I ever try to take them back? Absolutely. Do I ever try to come in there and be like, what are you doing? Absolutely. And then he gives me that same calm face. That's one thing about Rudy, is that he's very even keel. He has to be really worked up in order for him to get worked up. But other than that, it's mostly me. I'm the emotional one. I'm the one that can come in and just get the hollering and carrying on, and he'll look at me like, are you done? No, I'm not done. And matter of fact, you just sitting there not doing nothing is really starting to mess me out. I'm the one that, and it is true, when it's your baby, you're so passionate about it. It's something I created from blood, sweat, and tears. I very honest with that. There's a picture that I keep in my phone of, at one point, I think I had $2.31, and that's all I had. And I took a picture of it just so that I knew that would be part of my motivation, is that it won't always be this way. I won't always not have any money. My book that I wrote, and Rudy was the editor of, was How to Pay Yourself, because for years I did not. For years, I put money back into the business, hoping the business would give me more money, but not realizing my relationship with money was never great from the beginning. So even though I made money in order to survive, I didn't really do what I needed to do with it. I have said, if you ever have watched a talk that I did about the book, when I met Rudy went through our, it was for taxes, and he was going through our business statements, and he's like, what are all these NSF charge, it's like $33 a charge. Excuse you. And we weren't even married. So I was like, excuse you. First of all, whatever you see in here is confidential, number one. Number two, I never asked you to go through the bills. What I asked you to do was to put them into a date order for the bookkeeper. Number three, don't ask me about them fees. You know what that fee means. So why are we even having this conversation? And number four, I did not ask you to come tell me why, or ask you what. I don't need to tell you why. You know what that's about. And then this is how you know you have a partner, right? So he's quiet. He keeps going about his business, and then he comes back because he's added up all those fees in his head. He comes back and says, "Do you know that last year you spent like $10,000 in overdraft fees?" Was it your money? No. So you know why he laughs? Because I was so mad. Oh, I was so mad. And he's like, I can't believe you spent like $10,000 in overdraft fees. Excuse me, sir. There's a lot that goes into getting $10,000 of overage fees, okay? It was not something that was done. And so that really, it forced me to come to that realization that I don't know what I was doing, And Rudy was so calm with it. He was very snarky a little bit, but he just was so much in shock at how much money I was just wasting, and how I just did not manage it well. I mean, I paid employees, I was getting a check every now and then, but he's like, that $10,000 could have been in your account. And I'm just like, I can write it off. And he's like, but you don't need to write it off. I mean, you could have just had the cash. And that's what I mumble into myself if I'm walking away, like, I ain't never told you to come look in here and analyze my business. If I wanted an analyzation, I would go pay for one. I don't need one. Exactly. I don't need one from you. We're supposed to be dating. That's all we're doing. That's it. And then when we got married, it was even worse, because when we were going through the tax stuff, he was like, this has been going on for years. And I'm like, yes. And I'm only obliged to say yes because I'm married to you now. Had we not gotten married, I could have been hiding and ducking and dodging and doing whatever I did.
So needless to say, we stopped that.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. I came to the understanding of how I spend. Rudy over here is very cheap. And it's a step beyond frugal, like cheap. Our first date was at the 99-cent store. No, second date, sorry. He said, let's go shopping, and we went to the 99-cent store.
Costco and 99-cent.
And I had to pull him aside, and I said, I don't mean to be offensive to anyone who's on food stamps, but I just had to say, are you on food stamps? Because if you are, I could give you some money. Why are we shopping here? I don't understand. And then he comes back like, there's like great things here. I said, this is all expired food. What are you talking about? And you're digging in here like we're at a grocery store.
Still mustard and ketchup and sardines.
It's all.
Needless to say, we're not doing that either.
We don't. No. Those got cut out.
We're
not doing that anymore at all. No, we're not. But it's the discipline, it's the understanding, and we're always having a conversation about how we work together. We're always having a conversation about, the importance of our relationship and how we work together is a reflection of how the business grows. If we're having issues, our business won't really grow. And I think, me being able to not just come from an esthetician and from a business owner point of view, but really just saying, I had to change my perspective of a lot of things. I'll never forget when I first started doing the Periscopes on Periscope. I was doing them every Tuesday night, and I had so many estheticians come and say, you're finally speaking a lot of our languages, because it was almost like you were up here speaking down to us. And I said, no, not necessarily up here speaking down. My whole point is that my education in aesthetic training is very different than a lot of estheticians. I was very fortunate to have, Sedesco trained teachers. All of my teachers, except for one, was not from the US. So my training in aesthetic was very different. So my understanding of skin and aesthetics is very, very, very different. And I don't have a problem sharing that, but the people that I have conversations with are very few and far between who have the level of the education. Now, it doesn't hurt that I have a degree in kinesiology and 2 years of anatomy and physiology. So I have a science background. So for me, it's a different point of view, but I don't have a problem sharing my struggles. That's
the other thing. Not only do you come from the education background, but you are also not putting on any kind of airs when you talk to your people, the estheticians, about what really goes on.
Right.
I think that's the biggest. Well, that's what you say, but we all know 99% of the stuff that you watch, people are just making it look good, and it's all.
Do I yell at commercials, baby?
La-di-da.
I'm always saying lies.
But that's if you ever watched any of Stephanie's things, she will tell you straight up, honest and truthful about.
Do you want to share with them your binge watching after our first date, how you stalkered me on YouTube?
And that's another thing why I think our business is able to thrive and have the respect that it has in the community, because Stephanie will tell you honestly what's what. You come here, she'll tell you honestly what's what. You see her at the shows, you see any of her YouTube stuff, and even if it's not positive for yourself, even if it's there's ugly stuff, there's stuff that you did wrong in your past, and you tell people, and you come clean, and that's what comes across, that you're honest,
because it's true
about the business, and it's not all the high life.
No.
And that's I think a lot of the people that get into this business, which I've learned, they have incredibly expectations that have nothing to do with reality.
No.
There is a very good living that you can make in this line of work, but you got to be honest with yourself. You got to know what you're doing, and it's got to be grounded in reality. And a lot of it is not, and that is one of the positive things that you get from.
Well, I think the bigger thing is too, is that I'm honest, we have a shelf life. You know, when I was doing aesthetics and I was doing it full times, my hands hurt, my feet hurt, my back hurt. It's a very physical job. It's a more physical job than we could ever really talk about, because we don't talk about the physicality of being an esthetician. You know, you have to make sure that you are healthy. You know, you're breathing on people. People are breathing on you. So we, you know, sacrifice our health, and we sacrifice things in order for us to provide and give the peace and the calm and the tranquility that our clients look for, but we don't get that deposited into ourselves. We give, and we don't have a balance of being able to get to a place where we can restore that balance, you know. And that's the whole thing about of trying, and I admit I can't do it all.
But that comes, and that automatically transitions into another thing that is one of Stephanie's banner things that she talks about: multiple streams of income.
Absolutely.
You know, that's
right.
Another thing that goes into
right.
that you got to learn, especially as an esthetician,
right.
that you don't make money just from your hands.
Right.
And if that's the only thing you make money from,
right.
and that's the only thing you rely on, you're already lost.
You're in trouble.
You are already lost. You're already in
right.
trouble. And that's why, you know, we, for instance, from the business emphasize the retail stuff.
You know, and Rudy is saying that because he listens to my mentor group. So I have a mentor group every Tuesday night that I, you know, have a conversation with. And that's really the only thing that I consistently do, my mentoring group. And this month, we're really focusing on revamping your service menu, increasing your prices, knowing what you want to get paid per hour next year. What is moving in your retail shelf? What is not moving in your retail shelf? If it hasn't moved in 90 days, you got to get rid of it. You have to sell it no matter what, because it's costing you money to have it on your shelf. And so Rudy listens to that every Tuesday night because he comes home after picking up our daughter from dance. But he sees that I'm very passionate about getting the estheticians that I work with closely, and I have about 30 of them, and I tell them there is a shelf life. You have to understand, if you're not making money when you sleep, this is going to be a long, hard, tedious road for you. It was long and hard for me because I was under that myth that if I don't touch that first, I'm not making any money. And it became short-lived when I realized how powerful my retail was. It was short-lived when it was, you know, understanding that clients may not come see me, but I'm going to give them the opportunity to be able to buy, and I send it to them. That's a revenue stream that I did not have to touch anyone to get. And it becomes very eye-opening to how we really think about business. You know, we may not have a business mind or a business hat, but when we're told that, you know, there's a shelf life, we as estheticians don't talk about shelf life. Your body's only going to be able to do so much for so long. You're only going to be able to work at that level. You're only going to be able to see so many people in a day. You're only going to be able to see so many people in a week. There's a cap and a limit on it. And for me, I want to be able to see, touch, and be able to reach as many people as I can, which is why the internet has been so great for me, because I have that realization. I can't be everywhere. I can't be everywhere teaching a class. I would love to do that. I can't be at every show. I can't, you know, do all of these things that people want me to do, because I do have, you know, a family and a child, and I have all of these things, and I do balance those things. But I also understand that it takes, you know, a lot. You know, it's something that, you know, going into the new year with our mentoring group, I'm really going to be emphasizing is, you know, we have to look at understanding what exactly curtails coming money into the business. You know, how do you bring money into the door? And for Rudy, it was, again, you know, we had our epiphany when we moved here. And I even told him, I said, we have multiple streams of income. So this is what we can do over here. This is what I can do over here. This is what I can do over here. This is what I can do over here. And so Rudy just looks at me and he was like, well, where do I go in? Okay, so I'm gonna need your credit card so we can do that. I'm gonna need your credit card so we can do that. I'm gonna need your credit card so we can do that. You know, I mean, it was very much of, you know, really getting him to understand that, you know, the income that we see, you know, come into the business is coming from multiple different ways. It's not just one set way. And, you know, we teach each other things, but I think the
thing, because I can see now in my mind's eye, a lot of people, their eyes glaze over because they go, I'm not that innovative. I don't know all these things. I don't have a business mind. I don't have a mind to do that. And here comes in another thing, and I don't want to sound like an infomercial, but the other thing is that you have, that Stephanie will give you when you talk to her, or when you do the mentoring group, or when you come to the seminars and the stuff that she does, is there's a framework. That's the thing. So it's literally a plug and play. So she will tell you, this has worked for me. These are the proven things that work. And if you do that, tailored to your situation, there will come these separate revenue streams. Right. So even if you feel all overwhelmed, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to, do the stuff on the internet. I don't know how to market myself. I don't know. Right. What should I do? How should I pop up? And that's understandable that all of this stuff is overwhelming, especially when you have to, touch faces all day long. But
you have to have it.
You have to have it. You can't emphasize that enough, because again, shelf life, and you can't chase money. You get the dollar, you put that in the business, and then try and that does not work. And that's why Stephanie tells from her experience. That's what the book was about. Mm-hmm. That's what the most stuff in all her talks is about. This is what works. Try it. Do this, and you will have success. You will have more success than you already do.
Right. And I think that's one thing that a lot of my folks in my mentoring group, I'm giving you my formula and tools, and I'm showing you the reasons why. I'm a big advocate of homework. I'm a big advocate of posting and sharing. So be open to having people give you feedback, and the feedback may be to your benefit. More eyes on your idea, the more that you can tailor it and change it and make it so that it's, not confusing. Most of our advertising is confusing. I call it Tourette syndrome. Most of us advertise one day that our business is great and we love all our customers and we're great. We love all our clients and we can't wait to see them over the holidays. And then our next post is like, I need somebody tomorrow, $19 Brazilian. I mean, we do things in such a knee-jerk response because we have no true plan. What I've done is I put together an entire plan. I put together your whole year of marketing. I put together, all of these different things that you need to have in order for your business to be successful. If you can put them on autopilot and you can just do them because this is the time to do them, you will see the rewards. A lot of us, we're so bogged down with the day-to-day. We're so scared that we're not going to have a full book. We're so scared that our clients are not going to come. They're going to wake up one day and never come back. That fear hinders us from doing a lot of different things. When Rudy and I really were looking at different things, we were trying to decide exactly how we wanted the business to go. Our conversations now are really on expansion. Do we want to go to 7 days a week, which we should? Do we want to bring more staff? We should. Do we want to, expand into a different realm of doing business? And, Rudy will always look at me and just say, well, whatever it is, whatever you set up is what we're set up, and that's how we're going to do it. You just tell me what I need to do. And it's not so much a fight anymore, because I think he definitely sees the differences that we've had from the California to here. And is going to continue to change, which I think for me is exciting, because I like having those different changes. I love a good challenge. I love being able to have people, come to the business and say, I remember when, you had this, or I remember when you had that, which was great.
Yeah, but you got to reinvent. You got to stay,
I stay relevant, and I'm always, looking at different things to do. I'm always dragging Rudy along and just saying, this is what we're going to do, and then he'll look at me and he'll always be like, what? Like, don't worry about it. This is what you do. This is what it is. It'll be good. I'll let you know when it starts and when it ends. That's it. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. Is that it for today? That's it for today. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off, because I think that's it for today. We would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving going into the Thanksgiving holiday. We have a lot of craziness that's happening on our end. We'll probably be making those announcements very soon. We're looking forward to, a lot of the stuff that we have coming. And we're just excited that we're able to share a lot of the journey with you. But I will give, a couple of points. It's okay if you don't do it all. It's okay if you don't do it all. That has been something that I have taken with me, and I run with it, and I looked at Rudy like, this is all I got. This is all I got,
But you can ask for help, and you can accept
absolutely
help
and accepting
without losing
help.
yourself.
And I accept help, honey, please. I'm the first one to be like, I got to go. I'm tired. I'm going to take a nap. Leave me alone. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks so much for joining us today. Hope you guys have a great holiday. Bye. Bye-bye.